Good morning. I'm John Hagelin, Minister of Science and Technology of the global country of world peace and President of the U.S. Peace Government. Welcome to this international press conference in which members of the Global Media Corps will be able to address their questions directly to His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. His Holiness Maharishi is the world's foremost scientist of consciousness and foremost Vedic scholar who is revered throughout the world for reviving the ancient Vedic wisdom into a systematic science of consciousness and scientifically proven technologies for the full development of human consciousness. 4 years ago, His Holiness Maharishi conceived and founded the global country of world peace, a country without borders designed to be a global home for peace-loving people everywhere. The global country of world peace is founded upon a whole new science of administration, the science of administration through natural law. That means harnessing the age-old, time-tested principles of nature's own administration, the laws of nature that flawlessly govern the vast, ever-expanding universe without a problem. Harnessing these time-tested, scientifically proven laws of nature to bring perfection in individual life and in the administration of entire nations. Maharishi's Vedic science of administration is founded upon the discovery of the unified field and the complete knowledge of the unified field and the technologies of how to use it from the ancient Vedic wisdom. Modern science, in its own empirical means of gaining knowledge, has systematically explored deeper levels of intelligence in nature, from the macroscopic to the microscopic, as shown in this chart, from the superficially diversified laws of nature at the surface of the chart to the unified depths of the laws of nature at the foundation of this chart. Modern science reveals this unified field of all the laws of nature at the foundation of the universe and illustrates the systematic laws through which this fundamental unity systematically gives rise to the increasingly diversified structure of the laws of nature at every level of the physical universe, from microscopic to macroscopic. The Vedic science of His Holiness Maharishi gives complete knowledge of this fundamental unity at the basis of life's diversity and provides the experiential procedures to open human awareness to the direct experience of the unity of life. This chart shows on the right-hand side how the practice of the Transcendental Meditation Program and its advanced techniques, the systematic technologies of consciousness of Maharishi's Vedic science, through these technologies, human awareness turns powerfully within to experience deeper levels of mind, deeper levels of human intelligence, corresponding to the direct experience of deeper levels of intelligence in nature. This inward march of the mind culminates in the direct experience of the unified field at the source of thought in the simplest, settled state of human awareness. A fourth major state of human consciousness, according to modern physiological science, the state of pure consciousness, where consciousness, the self, is left alone, wide awake within its own nature. This experience of pure consciousness itself constitutes an educational breakthrough of the foremost magnitude. That is because the experience of pure consciousness is unique among the whole range of human experiences, and that only the experience of pure consciousness, the unified field, engages the total brain, and systematic experience of the unified field develops the brain holistically. We see in the functioning of the human brain, the electrical activity of the human brain, an integrated functioning of the entire brain, a phenomenon known in the literature as global EEG coherence. EEG coherence, shown growing in this chart from left to right, where a relatively new meditator experiencing transcendental consciousness on the left shows the emergence of little yellow mountain peaks indicating more than 90% correlation in the electrical activity in the frontal and occipital lobes of the brain. This long-range global EEG coherence grows with regular meditation over a matter of months of twice-daily practice and even years of twice-daily practice on the right, where the orderliness of brain function extends to all frequencies of cognitive processing and becomes a permanent 24-hour feature of the functioning of the brain. Well, this development of orderly brain functioning is absolutely essential to the fulfillment of education, because orderly brain functioning, EEG coherence, is scientifically correlated with rising intelligence, creativity, learning ability, short-term and long-term recall, alertness, reaction time, moral reasoning, psychological development, emotional maturity. Everything good about the brain depends on its orderly functioning. And now, orderliness of brain functioning can be systematically, longitudinally developed in students of any age, just through incorporation of the experience of unity, total knowledge, pure consciousness into an educational program. Most important, the experience of total knowledge, total natural law at the source of thought, enlivens total natural law and individual awareness, with the result that thoughts and actions arising from this field of total knowledge, total natural law, are so suffused with the totality of natural law that such thoughts and actions remain permanently aligned with total natural law. That means thoughts and actions aligned with the evolutionary intelligence that governs the universe. Spontaneous right action, spontaneous life-supporting, law-abiding behavior is the automatic side effect of enlivening total natural law in the awareness of the student. So, life in accord with natural law means life free from mistakes and the problems born of mistakes and the ill health that is born of mistakes. It means the ability to govern one's own life free from problems. Self-governance is the side effect of education that incorporates the experience and understanding of consciousness, the experience and understanding of total knowledge. Thus, Maharishi is very fond of the principle of administration through education. That means the administration of society without mistakes and problems by bringing the behavior of the people into accord with natural law, by enlivening total natural law, the self, the Atma, pure consciousness, in the awareness of everyone through proper education. So Maharishi has really given a golden key to a problem-free, prevention-oriented administration of society to every government, every head of state, through this principle of consciousness-based education, unified field-based education that incorporates the knowledge and experience of total natural law. We say Vedic education because the word Vedic means pertaining to the totality of knowledge. In addition to this proven approach to prevent problems and mistakes, Maharishi has also given every government a remarkable proven shortcut to, in a sense, bring the behavior of an entire population in accord with natural law in a single stroke, while the process of education is being updated everywhere. The shortcut that Maharishi has offered involves the group practice of transcendental meditation and its advanced techniques, including yogic flying. Because such group practice of TM and yogic flying not only dissolves individual stress and tension and promotes individual good health and well-being in mistake-free life, but group practice also promotes reducing societal stress and tension, including dissolving the acute political or ethnic or religious tensions that fuel violence, crime, terrorism, even war, and promoting positive trends throughout the entire country. And this is because when individual nervous systems collectively, simultaneously experience the field of total natural law, the unified field within, this universal field of consciousness that underlies and pervades us all, indomitable ripples, tidal waves of unity and coherence and peace and wholeness get stimulated and generated and propagate throughout an entire society so that everyone begins to think and act more in accord with natural law, so that everyone begins to experience more electroencephalographic coherence in their brains, so that the biochemistry of stress, such as lactic acid in the blood or the levels of serotonin in the blood gets replaced with the biochemistry of peace and alertness and wholeness of life. So positive trends can be promoted throughout an entire society and negative trends and social stress eliminated through group practice of TM and yogic flying by even a few thousand trained experts. This is because the power of the radiated coherence or unity from such a group grows as the square of the number of participants. Thus, it is extremely effective and efficient for any government, in the context even of a single dedicated school or college with several thousand students, to produce a very powerful wave of unity and positivity to influence the behavior of the whole population to be in accord with natural law. So the principle of a group for a government has been proposed by Maharishi, who has made this extraordinary offer to any government throughout the world. Engage Maharishi, engage his University of World Peace to quickly establish a coherence-creating group in your country, and immediately, according to extensive research, your country will be blessed with increasing positivity, a dramatic reduction in crime in all forms of negativity, and even national invincibility will be achieved on the basis of indomitable national strength of consciousness, coherence in the collective consciousness of a country. This is a crucial offer for almost negligible cost, less than the cost of a single jet fighter bomber. Any government can train and perpetuate a coherence-creating group of peace-promoting experts to put an end to crime and violence and social unrest, even war. And this is because when a nation becomes strong from within, coherent from within, disruptive influences from within the country or outside the country simply cannot gain a foothold in that coherent state of the country. This is exactly an application of the Meissner effect, which is a quantum enhancement of the third law of thermodynamics, which, as shown in this chart, shows how to make any system invincible. On the right-hand side, this chart shows a picture of a superconductor. And the interior of the superconducting metal is shown as coherent lines in blue. The coherent collective behavior of all the atoms in a superconductor produce an internal strength of coherence that makes that superconductor impervious to any externally applied disrupting influence, like an electric or magnetic field. But on the left, this same diagram shows an ordinary conductor with normal thermal incoherent behavior of its constituent atoms. This incoherent internal behavior provides no strength of internal coherence, and that conductor is easily penetrated by an external disruptive influence, as shown in this chart. Similarly, applied to a nation, when the collective consciousness of a country is orderly and coherent, and as if impenetrable shield of defense is established around that nation, making that population completely impervious to potentially disruptive influences, preventing attack before the attacker achieves or reaches the borders of one's nation. And if we want to understand this very heuristically, think of it simply this way. When an influence from a nation becomes extremely positive and friendly and nourishing to the whole world and to its neighboring countries, then none of those neighboring countries would be drawn ever to even attack one's friend and one's nourishing neighbor. So by actually increasing the friendliness and coherence of a country, we can prevent attacks from ever occurring on an absolutely proven scientific basis. This alone, this defensive means of defense, this Vedic approach to national defense, based on the principle of prevention, heyam dukam anagatam, is the only practical defense in today's age of weapons of mass destruction and long-range push-button missile technologies and the age of terrorism in which we live, for which there is no known conventional defense. The only defense is to prevent the very birth of an enemy, to target and neutralize the enmity in a potential adversary so that the enmity never rises up against one. Enemies are simply not born. And on a scientific basis, this offer of invincibility based on indomitable internal strength is an offer Maharishi is making to every government in the world. Maharishi and his University of World Peace will train those groups in the context of any institution, any university, any college, any school within one's country, simply by updating the curriculum to be completely modern. The curriculum to be raised to be unified field-based education, consciousness-based education, Vedic education. This can be accomplished in a matter of weeks. And very quickly, the students will be trained to be powerful peacemakers in themselves and collectively produce indomitable peace for the whole country. So Maharishi has offered every country the key to dramatically reduce crime and social unrest and problems and domestic violence, drug dependency, all the problems that consume the creativity and the wealth of nations. And at the same time, raise any nation, no matter how small, to a level of invincibility, and the whole world to a state of permanent world peace. Maharishi is accomplishing all of this at an extraordinary pace today, as we can see by changing events throughout the world, and I will share a little bit of that good news towards the end of today's press conference. The world is changing quickly, so quickly that Maharishi in recent weeks declared this is the dawn of a new era. This is the dawn of heaven on earth, the dawn of Sat Yuga in the Vedic language, where negativity and narrowness of vision, short-sighted, destructive human behaviors is being replaced by global comprehension, global citizenship, life spontaneously in harmony with natural law, for a prevention-oriented, problem-free world on the basis of the Vedic science of administration through natural law. How is Maharishi implementing this global transformation? It is on the basis of the global country of world peace, a new leadership structure for the world. It is headed by His Majesty Maharaja Nararam, foremost scientist of our generation, who made the world-transforming discovery under Maharishi's inspiration and guidance that every human being, in fact, is cosmic. The structure of the human brain and the human nervous system mirrors the structure of total natural law, the Veda, the constitution of the universe, the Lagrangian of the superstring, the self-interacting dynamics of unity at the basis of all diversity. This fundamental level of natural law is the blueprint of our human physiology, according to the discovery of Maharaja Nararam. And that means, on a practical basis, every human being has cosmic potential. Every human being can align human life with total natural law for maximum support of nature, maximum accomplishment in life, and complete absence of problems for the individual and society. And this easily through the educational technologies of Maharishi's Vedic science. This global government of peace, with its Prime Minister, His Excellency Dr. Bevan Morris, with its 8 global ministers, with Rajas administering individual countries and regions of countries, provinces and states, new leaders trained personally by Maharishi to be enlightened leaders, with the ability to govern their regions in harmony and with complete support of natural law. This new structure of global governance doesn't compete with the old governments, which are still there to primarily focus on the management of crises everywhere. Instead, the peace government will quietly but effectively prevent problems from arising by preventing the mistakes and the problems born of mistakes by people everywhere. And that's by raising individual life to be in accord with natural law through consciousness-based Vedic education and through the establishment of coherence-creating groups of peace-promoting experts throughout the world, in every city, every province, every country, and global groups of peace-promoting experts. 4 months ago, Maharishi began to create the effective peace on earth through the establishment of a large global group of peace-promoting experts in India, the land of the Veda. Maharishi has organized large groups, expanding groups of Vedic pundits who are reciting the Ved and performing yagya and grahashanti, the Vedic technologies of prevention of problems, and also practicing yogic flying to produce a global influence of peace. There are tens of thousands of Vedic pundits in different regions of the country collectively building up to be a global lighthouse of peace for the world. And world events have changed markedly already since the establishment of these Vedic pundits only 4 months ago, again, which we will review briefly later. And at the local level of every major city on earth, Maharishi is establishing peace palaces. And ringing throughout the news today, as we'll see in just a moment, peace palaces are coming up everywhere, are being welcomed by the people of every city to produce a critical influence of harmony and peace in the stress-ridden cities of our world today, and to be the national, local distribution centers of Maharishi's knowledge of education, Maharishi's Vedic healthcare, Maharishi Vedic organic agriculture, Maharishi Vedic architecture, building in accord with natural law. So Maharishi is bringing the influence of peace, the effective peace, the scientifically proven, unmistakable, demonstrable, measurable influence of peace to every city, every state, every province, every country in the world as a whole. And as a result of these rising coherence-creating groups everywhere, the world is changing. Just look, for example, at the news, not even of global events, which we'll touch upon later, but just the news ringing around the world that is coming from Maharishi's own activities to create peace on earth. There continues to be a global, worldwide awakening to the tremendous power of Maharishi's knowledge and his programs, with explosive media coverage ringing throughout the world. Especially, there has been an explosion of interest in Maharishi Sthapatya Ved and Maharishi's global reconstruction program to rebuild the world in accord with natural law. Here is a glimpse of the extraordinary press coverage that has come in even in this 1 week. First, recall that a major feature story on the profound principles and practices of Vedic architecture appeared several weeks ago in the front page of the home section of the Washington Post. The 18th feature story on Maharishi's knowledge to appear in the Washington Post since Maharishi began these global press broadcasts. This article, entitled "Mind Over Mortar, Proponents of Vedic Design Believe that Our Homes Can Determine Our Health, What Does Science Have to Say?" is now appearing in hundreds of major newspapers throughout the world. Most interestingly, Maharishi's revival of Sthapatya Ved has become the big news in India. On Thursday, for example, the Deccan Herald, one of India's largest newspapers and the main newspaper in Bangalore, republished the Washington Post article on Maharishi Vedic architecture, entitled, "Can Our Homes Determine Our Health and Wealth?" But the really big news story this week in India is Maharishi's call for government leaders to abandon their office and parliamentary buildings that are not laid out properly in accordance with Vastu Vidya. Following an interview after last week's press conference with Maharishi, the Press Trust of India wrote a feature story that has gone out all over India. The headline reads, "Warning to Government Leaders. Improper design of government buildings promotes disorderly thinking, infighting. President should close south entrance to the White House." And this story has appeared absolutely everywhere throughout India, including, for example, this front page spread in the Hindustan Times, entitled, "South is Bad Vastu for Bush, Blair." And this front page story in the Deccan Herald, which, as we saw only 2 days before, had run the major feature article on Maharishi Vedic architecture. It reads, "Bush gets some unorthodox advice." Let me share a few words from the text of the Press Trust of India article that started this avalanche of coverage which is spanning India right now. Again, the article headlines, "Warning to Government Leaders." This is following up on Maharishi's comments of last week that the press should warn the public and inquire of their governments, what direction are the parliamentary buildings and government buildings facing in your country? And is that responsible for the infighting and failures of the government so far? So in response to this, the press is asking, reporting, warning to government leaders. Improper design of government buildings promotes disorderly thinking, infighting. President should close south entrance to the White House. I'll read a little bit of this article. Divisive and destructive government policies will become more coherent and harmonious overnight if government leaders live and work in buildings that are properly designed according to the principles of ancient Vedic architecture in harmony with natural law, as revived by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. This is the advice delivered today by Dr. John Hagelin, renowned quantum physicist and president of the U.S. Peace Government, during a Washington press briefing. Dr. Hagelin is calling on the world press to urge government leaders in every country to abandon their improperly designed government buildings and replace the old buildings with properly oriented, fortune-creating offices and residences that face the rising sun in the east. Such buildings will promote orderly thinking and thereby ensure greater harmony and success for the government and peace and prosperity for the nation. Quote, nothing good will ever come from the government as long as the leaders are living and working in the disorderly influence of improperly designed and oriented buildings. Dr. Hagelin said the leaders should flee these old buildings, as if they were hit by an earthquake. Dr. Hagelin said that recent EEG research shows that a marked improvement in the efficiency of neuronal functioning when the head is oriented towards the east compared to the south. Quote, the positive effects of proper Eastern orientation on the brain and behavior are now being documented by modern science. And that is why Dr. Hagelin said he is calling on President Bush and Prime Minister Blair to immediately shut down the south entrances to the White House and to 10 Downing Street because of their deleterious effects on brain functioning and orderliness of thinking, to help make them wiser, more intelligent decisions for their people and the world. For the same reason, Dr. Hagelin is calling on the Indian government to abandon the parliament buildings in New Delhi because of their skewed entrances. Dr. Hagelin emphasized that these are only stopgap measures until properly designed and oriented offices and residences can be built for Mr. Bush, Mr. Blair, and all government leaders. Vedic architecture, or Sthapatya Ved, is the world's oldest and most complete system of architectural design and city planning. Vedic architecture has been revived in its completeness by His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. There has been nearly $1 billion in design and construction of fortune-creating Vedic homes and office buildings worldwide in the past decade. Maharishi recently launched his Global Reconstruction Program for permanent world peace and is inviting builders in every country to immediately begin building in every city peace colonies of fortune-creating homes and office buildings, as well as peace palaces to teach transcendental meditation and other Vedic science-based health promotion programs. Builders throughout the world are being urged to take part in this Global Reconstruction Program. For more information, see www.globalreconstruction.org. So this very wonderful, straightforward article of Maharishi's message to the government leaders of the world is appearing all over India today from all the major newspapers that take the story from the Press Trust International, which sent it out broadly this week. A couple of more final elements. A key element in Maharishi's Global Reconstruction Program is the establishment of 3,000 peace palaces, teaching centers for his Vedic science and programs to raise the whole population to enlightenment and promote permanent world peace. This week witnessed the public inauguration of the magnificent Woodlands Peace Palace in Houston that was built by developer and oil company CEO Howard Settle. The opening of this Peace Palace drew extensive coverage in the greater Houston area, including this excellent article in the Houston Chronicle. Quote, building has an ancient touch. Oil firm CEO says that Vedic principles promote clearer thinking. There was excellent television coverage of this opening as well, including the following 2-minute news segment that was broadcast on ABC television in Houston. Watch, by the way, how they describe their experience of being inside this Maharishi Peace Palace.
News at 4.
In today's Hometown Live, if you need some relaxation and you need to get rid of stress, then we have the place for you.
Yes, it sounds wonderful. Houston's first Peace Palace opened today in the Woodlands, and Elma Barrera is there. Elma, have you found peace?
Well, as a matter of fact, there was a different feeling, I want you to know.
Really?
Don't laugh. It was just a peaceful feeling. First of all, I want you to take a look at the Peace Palace. Look how gorgeous it is on the outside. As I said, I was in there, and there was something different inside. Organizers say we do lead very hectic lives, some of us violent lives. The organizers say they want to change that person by promoting peace. One can almost feel the peace and calm inside. A certain serenity that organizers say is because of the ancient wisdom and architectural guidelines used in designing and constructing the building called the Peace Palace.
The practical effect for those fortunate enough to work here is reduced stress, better health, clarity of thought, and much greater efficiency in activity.
No one can deny we live in a hectic world, organizers say, and that's why they built the Woodlands Peace Palace. They want to teach people to meditate and therefore accomplish more in their lives. David Humphreys has been meditating for 25 years.
It's made me more calm, more peaceful, and also more orderly as far as being able to do things and accomplish more, and without getting tired or overwhelmed by activity.
The Peace Palace will not only be used to accomplish inner silence, they say, but to pursue material success. So the second and third floors will be used to house the Century Exploration Company, an oil company owned by the developer of the palace. It has taken 3 years to build it with the help of a Vedic architecture expert from Kentucky who says entrances must face
either
east or north.
And what that does is aligns the building with the cycles in nature. It aligns the building with the qualities of the rising sun as it first emerges and showers the building with those positive, nourishing qualities for...
And back live. Now here they do have right now, since it opened today, a health spa, meditation classes, and health classes. So anybody that's interested can either call or just come on down to the Woodlands. Reporting live, I'm Elma Barrera, 13 Eyewitness News.
And I'm assuming you either have to sign up or there's some kind of cost involved in signing up for this?
It depends on what classes you're talking about. The health classes, maybe they'll be involved in a seminar. There'll be a slight fee, perhaps. The meditation classes, their formal meditation classes definitely have a fee.
Okay, that's fascinating. You did feel a difference, you say?
Well, inside, you know,
really?
Maybe it was because everybody was so peaceful looking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very relaxed.
I felt it.
It's a huge place, Elma. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's an interesting development today.
Yeah.
And that peaceful influence is due to the design principles of Maharishi Javed, bringing peace and harmonious influence all over the world. Similarly, throughout the United States, news of peace palaces being planned and built is receiving front-page coverage everywhere, as, for example, in this article in the Norwalk, Connecticut newspaper, Peace Palace to Ease Stress, and so forth. Finally, news of the remarkable health-promoting, life-promoting effects of Maharishi's transcendental meditation and yogic flying continue to ring throughout the country. See, for example, these consecutive back-to-back feature stories on transcendental meditation in the Orange County Register, one of the largest newspapers in America. First, they ran this front-page banner headline story on the health benefits of transcendental meditation called Life Lift, Transcending Stress. Then on the next day came this full-page follow-up story on the front page of the health section, Tapping into TM. The story highlighted the health benefits of transcendental meditation, reported on the efforts of local parents and educators to bring transcendental meditation into the classroom, and featured the meditating family of Bruce and Anna Kuravan, who are members of the Board of Trustees of Maharishi University of Management. Our final news story today is perhaps the most interesting, an extraordinary television news special on yogic flying. which was broadcast throughout America and the whole world by National Geographic Television, one of the most prestigious and serious-minded stations for both adults and young people. National Geographic sent a television camera crew to Maharishi University of Management to take an in-depth look at Maharishi's yogic flying program. The result was very inspiring, as this show reveals.
Since the beginning of recorded time, humans have looked to the skies and dreamt of flight. In many religions, flight or levitation has been a sign of particular piety. Catholic Saint Teresa of Avila could supposedly lift off the ground for nearly 30 minutes. Indian sages were said to levitate as an act of homage to God. But perhaps the most talented flyer of all time was a Tibetan monk named Milarepa, who could walk and sleep as he levitated. Apparently, the ability to fly has largely been lost in the modern age. But at the U.S. headquarters of the Transcendental Meditation Movement, enterprising students are trying to change all that. They're here to learn to levitate using a three-stage process known as yogic flying, introduced to the Western world by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. They do this by tapping into the life energy suffusing the universe, called prana.
Yogic flying is an advanced meditation practice. What happens due to a mental technique, the brainwave becomes powerfully coherent. A lot of bliss and energy starts to flow through the physiology, and spontaneously the body springs. The first stage of yogic flying, the body can't hold still, and it starts to spring and hop and tries to fly. The second stage is when the body actually hovers in the air for a short while. And the third stage is mastery of the skies, when the body can fly.
The first thing you notice when watching people practicing the first stage of yogic flying is that it looks less like flying and more like hopping in the lotus position. The second is that these people are really happy.
Flying feels absolutely fantastic. Just before a person takes off, just before they levitate, they experience a great expansion of happiness. Even getting off the ground 1 inch is pure fulfillment. Second stage will be even better. And third stage, I can hardly wait to see 10,000 people flying in the air together.
TM University researcher Dr. Fred Travis claims there are actual metabolic effects in the human body, even in stage 1 flying.
We look in that 1 second period, just before they actually lift up. There's broadband, which means it's across many frequencies, global coherence. And so the person is in a very different state of mind, different state of brain. We call it pure consciousness. And it's from there that the impulse to fly comes.
They reject Newton's laws of gravity, saying they are hundreds of years out of date.
Newton's laws simply say that the human body will be held down to the Earth by the force of gravity, just as the moon is held to orbiting the Earth through the force of gravity. So if the body lifts up, it would be in defiance of these classical gravitational laws. We understand how you can overcome classical gravity and how the body can float and fly.
No one has gotten beyond stage 1 of the process, but they say it doesn't really matter, because they've found that even first stage yogic flying produces an interesting byproduct, what they call the Maharishi effect.
The real purpose of yogic flying, especially in groups, is to create world peace, to put an end to this tragic legacy of violence and crime and terrorism and war.
That's right. They say if we can get a critical mass of people to practice flying, about 1% of the population, generations will get their wish. World peace.
Thank you very much. We took a little more time today to present some of the extraordinary global press coverage that is exploding everywhere on Maharishi's programs, From transcendental meditation to yogic flying to the reconstruction of the world in harmony with natural law, in accordance with the principles of Maharishi Vedic architecture, just to give some sense of the explosion of public interest and media coverage, and shed insight on why it is perhaps that Maharishi recently proclaimed that Sat Yuga is coming. A new era of humankind, heaven on earth, is coming through the global awakening of the deep knowledge and principles behind this new civilization and the global response now and understanding of all of Maharishi's programs to transform life on earth. So without further delay, it's a great honor at this time to introduce the founder of Transcendental Meditation, the founder of Yogic Flying, the founder of Maharishi's consciousness-based education or Vedic education and thousands of Vedic educational institutions throughout the world, and the founder of the global country of world peace, His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the world's foremost scientist of consciousness and foremost Vedic scholar, revered throughout the world for bringing the blessings of the Vedic wisdom to millions and millions of people all over the world who are practicing his transcendental meditation program and yogic flying, and who are rising in higher states of consciousness, the experience of enlightenment, in which the scientific truth of the unity of life becomes a living reality in daily life. And in that broad global comprehension, narrow-minded nationalism gives way to global citizenship. Citizenship in Maharishi's global country of world peace. Jai Gurudev Maharishi, are you there?
Jai Gurudev. We have been saying the same thing and will continue the same thing. Our program to bring this, we have been saying the same thing and will continue the same, to create harmony, integrity, coherence in national consciousness of every country. Our practical program is continuing, and the day will not be far when we will have real goal achieved. That means the countries will be not fighting together. This is stupid system of democracy which is promoted by the countries who want to destroy the world, destroy the cultural integrity of the world, destroy the unity of the groups in every nation. This is stupid system of democratic administration will simply disappear as the darkness disappears with the onset of light. It is the system of administration that influences the life of the people. For how many centuries people have been trying this system of administration, that system of administration, this system of administration, that system of administration. In the end, they are hung up with this system of administration which divides the nation, And it is those countries which are living in wrong vastus. Examine the entrances of the parliaments and where the prime ministers or whatever in charge of the country, where they are living. Look at their entrances and you will see they are not built according to the ancient system of laying out the buildings, Vastu buildings. They are not living in Vastu buildings. I remember the other day Dr. Hegland, what she said. This president of US is entering from from the south gate? What you said? And if he is entering with the wrong direction, see what he is doing. It's very evident. In every city, people don't need any scientific research. You look into every city. In every city, wherever the houses are facing south, there will be unrest in the house, all difficulties, problems. And those streets where the houses are facing east, they will be harmonious, happy, prosperous. You can verify in your own towns. You don't need any other criterion to know. Nobody should tell you. You find out yourself. You find out your own home, where you are living. Find out if you are living in south entrance or west entrance or southern slope or western slope. You will be shrouded with this case and that unrest and that conflict and that tears coming. There will not be restfulness, either in the head of the family or the children or all. You can verify yourself. I've been watching for the last about 10 years that even those people who have been practicing transcendental meditation, from the practice of transcendental meditation, they got peace of mind. But somehow there is unrest in the house. Children are fighting or something is happening. And then I found out these people are living in wrong vastu. Vastu is a system of laying out the houses. It has its own mathematical calculations and directions, north, south, east, west, and all that. When I found that thousands of teachers of transcendental meditation have been trained, but very few of them are teaching. All of them realize the greatness of it, but very few of them are. The reason was, living in wrong vastu, they could not think properly. Their thinking will be tangential. Their logic will be of the straight line. So I have asked all our teachers, if they want to be successful, absolutely quickly get out of your wrong houses, even if they have to live in the caravans, but lay out the caravan so that the entrance is on the east at least. There is no way you can be peaceful by living in wrong vastu. There is no way. Whatever you do, there will be lack of peace, there will be lack of health, there will be lack of relationship, there will be lack of everything. So we started this global reconstruction of the world. And when we look to palaces, when we look to the great buildings of wealthy people, very strongly built buildings of the capitals of the governments, all are wrongly laid out. No use talking their names. Huh? Every government building, very beautifully built, and those who build with big stone and very beautiful marble and great famous architects, but they are facing in the wrong direction. The mind of the administrators, or the mind of the president, the mind of the prime minister is completely off the track. All the assemblies, great assemblies, we are free, the free people, assembly, all making very wrong arguments, very wrong. In their thought, they are very wise, and they have the human rights and all. All the human rights is in the thorny bush. All in the name of human rights, human rights, human rights. The whole thing is a basket of stupidity. What is that human right? One-fourth of the world's population is living in dire poverty. This is human right? But back and back again, sometimes we begin to feel angry on these people. Then we compromise, say, those who cannot think properly, how you can be angry on them? Their brain is functioning distorted, so how you can be angry on them? They have been drugged in their early stages, and they have been they are not eating proper food. In the name of medicines, they are eating poisons for new diseases to come up. How you can expect them to be sensible to themselves or to sensible to others? The only thing is, we back and back come to this logic, then do whatever we can and do it as quickly whatever we can. But what we can, as long as the people are living in wrong vastus, whatever we can do from outside will not rid them of the wrong influence of vastu. Then I always remember one has to carry one's own cross. No one else can carry one's other cross. You are shouting without stops. Meditation is one thing, fine meditation one thing. That is the mental approach. Now we are asking the people to go for organic food, avoid poison. But there are countries, they say, our factories must run. Doesn't matter they are producing poison, but we must sell poisons. They create salesmen to sell poison to the people. This is because they appear to be human beings, but completely inhuman. They are living wrongly. What they can do? Their parents are living that way. They are living that way. That's how their brain has developed. I remember a few countries, 3 generations of the governments. I've been telling them. 10 generations of India. I've been telling them. Who hears? Poisoned brain, completely disturbed brain in the houses they are living. Who can understand the voice? I said, don't understand. But when we see the people running in the flames, we weep for them. We shout to them, wait, don't go. But they are running to the flames. We weep seeing them burn, but they are burning into flames. What can we do? So the conclusion in my mind is, do what we ourselves can do what we can do, and don't think much of anything. Whatever coherence we can create in any country, that will be our contribution for creating that coherence in the national consciousness. Governments are not in a position to hear. Great statements by these fathers of the nation, some were mothers of the nation. They wish all good should happen to their people, but they don't know what to do from the administrative point of view. The whole thing is very bankrupt system. Man-made constitutions. Now we are bringing eternal constitution of the universe. Who understands it? Who understands all these heads of states? They come from the votes of the hooligans on the streets. What do they understand of science? The greatest scientists of the world have been shouting for years. Dr. Hegel has been advising them. But who understands science? The whole thing is completely hopeless, but we still have hope in a hopeless world. We are trying to gather very soon, but the destiny of the people doesn't allow us to light the big lamp so quickly that immediately the deep darkness would simply disappear. It's the fate of the people. But still I am hopeful, I am continuing. I had asked the world press so many times, if you belong to some country, ask your governments, tell your governments that overnight they can be invincible. Government has so many schools. As just Dr. Hegel said, from the schools, a few thousand students just to fly. Within 3 months, and every government can rise to invincibility. Government can do anything, but their brain functioning differently, because they are working in non-vastu buildings. World press, help them. Help them. Tell them that phrase, which they know, but tell them 1,000 times once again. The taste of pudding is in eating. Taste of pudding is in eating. You demolish your present building and build a new building, and then taste how the nation begins to thrive in economy, in trade, in relations, in everything. Give this message to every government. It's not necessary to be angry on them, because if a man is rushing on to the hell, you can't stop him. He's running and rushing to get into the gates of hell. What you can do? But inform them before he starts in that direction. Tell him, you are divine inside, you are cosmic inside, you are universal inside, your soul is a unified field, you are bliss inside, you are a flow of bliss, you are a flow of total natural law, you are invincible, you are powerful, you are integrated. Tell them these things 1,000 times. Writing once will not be enough. Keep on writing every day, every day, every day. Keep on advising them in the name of God, in the light of God, total natural law. What else can we do? We can only tell them. But don't worry, time is soon coming. We are going ahead day and night. We are going ahead day and night. We are going ahead day and night. The global country of world peace, as Dr. Hagelin defined, a country without borders, home of all peace-loving people in the world, a concept. Country is a concept. Any country is a concept. We have conceived of a country without borders. Because we see every country with borders fighting with each other on the border. So let's have a country without border. We have a country without border. It's an umbrella for all the countries within boundaries. Every country within boundaries has a protection of the umbrella of the global country of world peace. And we are proud of an imaginary global country, but that imaginary global country is bringing down peace permanent. Peace permanent. We can be wild on the people. At one time, one very good thought came to me, and the thought was, a man says, how many good things I can do? Everyone tells me this is good, this is good, this is good. How many good things I can do? This was the logic of a man who would not do anything that he has to be good. Because everyone says this is good, this is good, this is good. Thousands of good he has. Now, how many goods he can have? This is also one of the reasons. Interesting are the intelligence of the people. It's a very good thing. Everyone says this is good. How how I can go by all the goods that I hear? Very interesting logic. But it doesn't matter. Just as people like to do wrong things, we like to do right things. We think this is right, this is right, this is right. And our thing is very powerful, really very powerful. It is going to produce effect, and it will not be very long when we will have a neater world, cleaner world. Then the press will be the first beneficiary. Press will not have to report dirty things, wrong things, ugly things. Press will always report better things, better and better and better and better. So let's have, if there are any questions, one answer of all questions is, you don't have to wait very long. Very soon we are going to have that floodlight where on no corner of the world there will be darkness. On no corner of the world there will be all this negativity and all that. Every country will be peaceful, harmonious, homogeneous. Really enjoy freedom in invincibility. One word, invincibility. Now that we have started reconstruction of the world, and this construction is given to the builders of the world, builders always want orders. We say, now you build, you build, you build. That is their profession, that is their hobby. So those people who have the hobby to build, they are invited to build. They'll make a lot of money, and those who will change their homes to Vastu homes, they will mint money in their own homes. All wealth will come to them, peace will come to them, bliss will come to them, family blossoming will come to them, children will not fall sick, and all those nice things that we know will be in every home, will be in every society. And it will not take long time, it will not take long time. Before the year ends, before 2005 ends, we will have a lot of renewal of our problem-ridden world. Dr. Hagelin is reminding the world, plus week after week, let's go this way, and then it doesn't matter. We are going that way, and we are going with our fleet, we are going there. We are not alone, we are with millions of people, but we want more people, we want a crowd of, a group of a few thousand in every country. So what we have seen is, lot of countries, particularly poor countries, lot of countries have lot of lands. And from the land, the development of agriculture, organic agriculture, will improve the economy of the poor countries, and they will be better off, So we are awakening all the people, rich or poor. A man is man, whether he is monetary well or unwell, but his self If the unified field, the self of everyone, is a unified field, that is the source of all integrity. Meissner effect has been mentioned. But how many people know Meissner effect? Doesn't matter. They would understand lack of sickness, lack of all negativity. They'll all be better and better and better. So let's have, if you want to pause on the questions, or you can assure them. Dr. Hagman, you have been assuring them all the time. But one thing is of great satisfaction, that this dawn is rising, and soon, not very long, we will have the midday sun. And there we rejoice, Because the knowledge is completely unhindered. It's there. Only a matter of some groups in every country here and there. The world is destined to be a right world, a glorious world, a peaceful, happy world. What we want is flow of bliss in every behavior, in every thought of every person, in every country. Globally, we want a grand, unified nations, grand, unified world. And it's going to happen, So reassure them, and if there is anything new question or anything, it will be a joy to answer. Huh?
Maharishi, for this extraordinary introduction, very beautiful introduction that gave deep insights into the mechanics of transformation of the whole world. Maharishi has been teaching the solutions to all problems in every field of national administration for 50 years. And through that global effort of Maharishi in the millions upon millions of people who have benefited personally from their practice of Maharishi's teachings and his programs of transcendental meditation and their advanced techniques and yogic flying, the world is changing. It has changed extraordinarily over these 50 years since the deep Cold War era in which Maharishi began to teach more purity in collective consciousness year by year, with more and more people opening human awareness to the source of all purity, all order, all coherence in their own pure consciousness, the unified field. Yet governments, Maharishi said today, have been slow to respond due to the inertia and due to the lack of purity in collective consciousness, and due to their own bad vastus in buildings, the government has been slow to respond. So naturally, Maharishi is feeling compassionate impatience. Compassionate impatience, knowing that according to extensive published research, the world can be transformed and war and strife and enmity can be put to an end within a matter of about 3 months, through the incorporation, through the implementation of Maharishi's programs. Armed with that knowledge, knowing the potential of the Vedic wisdom, Maharishi naturally is impatient to see an end to suffering and an end to war immediately, and the creation of global peace immediately. But Maharishi explained today why it has been so slow for the people to respond, for the governments to respond, and that is because of the dullness and inertia and destiny of the world has been so retarded by influence of improper education, lack of development of the brain, improper buildings and housing that prevent right, clear decision-making and so forth. So Maharishi has said, we will go on by ourselves. And this is what Maharishi has been doing, creating, through the global country of world peace, more and more groups and larger groups of peace-promoting experts in India, and throughout the world, drop by drop, purifying collective consciousness to the point today where at least the people and the press understand the message and are responding with tremendous enthusiasm and excitement to each and every Peace Palace, responding with enthusiasm and excitement to Maharishi's program to reconstruct the world in accord with natural law. So now we're at the point of increasing receptivity due to that much purity of consciousness having been achieved by Maharishi. And now that the receptivity is so strong and more people are acting, taking advantage of the knowledge, the rate of increase of purity will be greater and greater. These are the conditions of exponential growth, where rising purity fuels rapid rise of purity in the world. And we're at that exponential point where the world is beginning to change very quickly, so quickly that Maharishi sees, as the press reveals, that this year, before the end of 2005, quite a lot of transformation of our civilization will have been achieved. It's a very, very exciting time for everyone in the world, but for Maharishi, who has been teaching for 50 years, naturally continues to feel compassionate impatience, as well as, I think, the excitement that we all feel looking at the rate of transformation of the world, which in classical terms, in traditional terms, in historic terms, is truly remarkable, as we'll perhaps visit again briefly toward the end of this press conference. Maharishi, yes, there are questions from the press, and I think the answer to this first question we can probably pretty much anticipate. And the question is, I found His Holiness' comments about government building orientation to be fascinating and worth sharing with our newspaper readers to ponder. This question, by the way, comes from the editor of the Patriot News in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital of Pennsylvania. He says, the main entrance of our 99-year-old state capitol building faces west. The House and Senate chambers have members facing south and north, respectively. Since July 7th this year, when our lawmakers voted to increase the salaries of all three branches of the government, taxpayers across our state have been outraged in demanding them to rescind the pay raise that comes at a time when other public services are being cut. Does His Holiness feel that the building orientation and layout may be at the root cause of this public unrest? Considering we will celebrate our capital's centennial 100-year anniversary next year, does Maharishi really think we should abandon our historic and beautiful State House and build new?
Absolutely abandon overnight and look to the history of 100 years. That building would not have allowed government to be successful every year out of every 100 years. Go back to the history and you'll find the government has been a failure, a failure, a failure, a failure. Not only this only one, not only one instance. There would be 99 years instances of failure of the government in that building. Trace the history of it. Absolutely. Abandon it quickly, and then the government will thrive. The same government, the same people will thrive. Otherwise, don't abandon. Abandon it the next generation, then the next generation will thrive. Continue with this, and you will count every year the failure of the government, the failure of the government. There is no way for the government to be successful if the entrances are as you describe in the south and west and all that. Absolutely, absolutely, tell them.
Thank you very much, Maharishi. There's a major medical study out this week which found that the world has become a culture of long hours of overwork, and that this culture is literally killing people. People are dying younger from working too hard. I know that Maharishi advocates shorter hours of work and longer time spent in meditation. But many people work hard out of fear that they will lose their job, that they will lose their ability to provide the best quality education for their children, the best health care for their family, and so forth. My question for Maharishi is then, in today's pressure-packed world, does Maharishi feel it is truly practical for an individual to work less and still be able to maintain his level of material comfort and security?
Absolutely. Success belongs to the power of thought. If the power of thought is powerful, then all avenues of achieving anything would gather around. If the thought force is less powerful, then you keep on. It's like when you throw an arrow fully drawn back, arrow will go very fast and hit the target. And if you don't pull it fast, you pull it a little bit and the arrow will fall down near you. If the mind is consciously aware of its source, if the thought is projected from its source, from the field, unified field, from the transcendental field of consciousness, then it is surcharged with tremendous energy and intelligence. Then the total natural law serves for you. And you can imagine when total natural law that governs the universe supports your single thought, how much you can accomplish. Anything you can accomplish from thought. Anything you can accomplish from thought. Accomplishment depends upon the power of thought. The power of thought depends upon how much drawn your awareness is. If your awareness is drawn from the transcendental field, then it is surcharged with tremendous energy and intelligence, and the thought force will be bringing fulfillment through the power of total natural law. Theory is very simple. Philosophy is very simple. Practice is very simple. Practice is very simple. But again I would say, if one is living in a bad vastu, one would hear these words but can't put to practice because there is some force which is preventing him from being successful. And that is called luck. That's why we have asked the builders of the world to build lucky homes, to build fortune-creating homes. And for a builder, it's just nothing. Instead of tilting the building, he could build straight, north, south, east, west, and that's all. The whole thing is simple, but the wrong layout of the building offends the harmony of nature. And this offend harmony, you cannot soothe, you cannot overcome it. Natural law is a powerful thing that governs the universe. You can make all your move, all your relations, all your activities according to that. It is ready to push you forward to any extent. And if you are mischievous about it, you don't follow, then you have no grace with natural law. The word fortune or luck is with reference to support of natural law or not support of natural law. If you do non-organic food, if you take poison inside, then whatever is the result, you have to bear with it. If you take organic food, whatever the result, good health, vitality, all life is depend on each individual. And the individual depends upon how the parents have educated him, how the parents have educated him. That's all that the individual knows. So it is for the parents to nourish their children in a proper way. Proper way means at least according to natural law. At least according. Be simple, be natural. Simplicity, naturalness. And all these etiquettes of building the house and eating proper food and all those. Civilization is going to be better through our Vedic education, Vedic healthcare, Vedic style of building the houses, Vedic everything. Vedic means full of Veda. Full of Veda means full of knowledge. Full of knowledge means in complete alliance with total natural law. Natural law, tremendously powerful force and tremendously powerful intelligence.
Thank you very much, Maharishi. This is